my name is Carrie Beaulieu. I work at Affluence. We're the team behind the software Priority Matrix, and today we're going to be presenting on how to use Priority Matrix and also apply some best practices that we've learned across the architecture industry to boost accountability in your architecture team. And then you'll see that this presentation is actually called Unleash Your Full Potential, and that's because when we talk about boosting accountability, what we really mean is just making sure that everybody on your team is performing to the best of their capability and nothing important is slipping through the cracks, so that you guys can really just do your best work, and not only that, but really please those project owners and keep your projects flowing in from there. Inevitably, especially in the architecture industry, something always comes up. Maybe it's, a project owner who changes their mind, or you need to go back and redo some drawings or something along those lines. And this results in a situation where, you have to shuffle their workload around, and you might end up with more on your plate than you originally intended, or on your team's plate. And in that case, this is where sometimes those key tasks can get dropped, which end up with projects being delayed in those uncomfortable situations where you have to, let the project owner know that your schedule has changed and things have been pushed back. Situations that have to do with accountability can also just look like times when you delegate something to your team that you considered really important, and then next thing you know, 2 weeks have gone by and you haven't gotten an update about it, and it's sitting on somebody's desk somewhere. And so the first thing that we actually want to talk about when we are talking about increasing accountability and eradicating these situations is why things like this happen. And in the research that we've done, we actually came across 4 main reasons. The first is just communication and expectations. And what we mean by that is clear communication and making sure expectations are aligned, whether those expectations have to do with due dates, quality, or anything along those lines. One of the biggest reasons that we see a lack of accountability, or in this case, sometimes it's a perceived lack of accountability, is because we have a different expectation than the person that we've been assigning work to, and so there's a misalignment there. Secondly, a lack of ownership. So those situations where somebody on your team might say, I didn't think this was my responsibility, or we think that somebody knew they were responsible for something and they were not. And then finally, the last 2 are actually related, and those are mismatched priorities or resources stretched thin. So when you're operating at a really high capacity, which I'm sure a lot of you are, there are always choices to make around what you're going to work on during the day, because we just don't have enough hours to get everything done that we would ideally like to. And so when we talk about prioritization like this and thin resources, what we really need to focus on is making sure everybody's on the same page about what's really important, so that when we make decisions about, what's going to go on the list and what we're really going to do today, everybody has a uniform decision made so that we can create alignment. When we talk about, creating accountability in our firm, the reason that it matters is because without it, project owners won't get the work delivered that they need. However, there's kind of this juxtaposition between them and us, because project owners are thinking about themselves, which is normal. They're thinking, what's my timeline? When are these things going to be done? Are there any important updates I need? However, as architects, especially as principals, we have to think about this across the board. So what's the timeline for all of our clients? And really, ideally, what should we be doing first and what needs to be tackled? And so what we're trying to do here is avoid situations where we just pay attention to who cries wolf the loudest, because that can result in those situations, again, where we're just tackling the first thing that came into our inbox when there are a lot of other things that need our attention as well. And so the strategy that I want to teach you guys today actually is called the Eisenhower Method. And this is what helps prevent that from happening, not only personally, but across your team. And so the way that this Eisenhower Method works is actually just by taking your to-do list and then breaking it down into 2 criteria. And it works like this. You ask yourself about each thing on your to-do list, how critical is this? And does it need to be done now? And by doing that, what you'll end up with are 4 quadrants. You can see in the upper left-hand corner, critical and immediate here, critical but not immediate, not critical but immediate, and then uncategorized. So basically what we're doing is trying to make the highest priority items on our list more visible. And by starting here, not only can we hold ourselves more accountable, but we're also making better decisions about what we're going to work on. Because if there are 15 things on our to-do list for the day and we can only do 10 of them, rather than taking a shot in the dark and saying, I'm going to start at the top and work my way down, then you can make really informed decisions about what you're going to try to get done. And again, just by creating this visibility for ourselves, I believe that you can start to hold yourselves accountable. And then teaching this across your team is actually a really effective exercise to help people start working in a more effective way. However, just teaching this to individuals is powerful, but when this becomes really, really impactful across an organization is when you actually apply this to the projects you're working on and then try to create uniform decision-making processes across your team.